In your life, were you always aware that there was kind of something off about your relationship with your father or your father figure? Anybody? Were you afraid of your father growing up? And maybe you still are. I was afraid. And another thing is, did you see good dads portrayed on TV or in movies and like feel sad? Or friends' fathers. I had that experience too, where I was like, a father could be like that. That's amazing. Yeah. It kind of blew my mind seeing my friends, dads, the ones who they weren't afraid of, you know? I couldn't believe it. I was like, someone could have a father they're not afraid of. That's just crazy, right? And then there's other things like not feeling like your father approved of you or gave you attention or made time. Anybody? Was there a lack of affection or a lack of security or just feeling like you couldn't please your father, or there was only one way. Like for me, if I did well in school, that then it would not that he'd be pleased for too long, but like, it was a way to relate to him because I just didn't know how, right? A lot of you might have had a different kind of father. Maybe you had an amazing father who loved you to death, but was unwell or was addicted or was an alcoholic or, so couldn't show up for you in some other ways. Yeah, my father was a workaholic and an alcoholic too, but a high functioning one. So, and this can be very confusing. What is a father wound? It's a psychological or emotional injury that can stem from growing up with a father or father figure. And sometimes I say paternal impactor, which is just like the grown up adult who sort of played that part in your life. If they were absent, abusive, controlling, not emotionally attuned or available to you. And I think a lot of people had that experience. So myths. Let's talk about the myths. A lot of these have come in from you guys, and I just want to sort of dispel them. Only absent fathers cause issues. This is a myth, and of course, the truth is no. Emotional unavailability in physically present fathers can also significantly affect daughters, and abusive fathers obviously can affect daughters. Judgmental, critical, mocking. There's so many ways, so many flavors of getting a father wound, but it is not just severe abuse or it is not just absence that does it. Father wounds only result from severe abuse or extreme neglect, and that is really misleading. So we want to be all clear that it stems from many subtler forms of emotional neglect, criticism, or even lack of engagement and support, not just extreme abuse or neglect. And I think that so many of us, if you didn't have an extreme situation, so much of the time my therapy clients would come to me and say, but other people had it much worse, or I know it could have been much worse. I'm like, that doesn't mean your experience didn't impact you, and what you didn't get didn't impact you, because it really does. If you are successful, you don't have a father wound. Can anyone relate to having a father wound and being successful and being driven by their father wound? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah. So you can achieve success, and you can on the inside feel less than confident and unworthy due to unresolved. You can achieve success proving something, right? Planning something. A myth. You will outgrow a father wound. Father wounds need active emotional work for healing. They don't disappear with age. And in fact, what I say, and I think some of you are experiencing this, is that the stuff that we don't manage, it comes out. And this happens in our 50s, 60s, and 60s, where I call it the chickens coming home to roost, where there's just only so long that we can avoid what needs to be dealt with, what needs to be processed. Myth, you have to confront your father to heal. Many of you, your father has already passed on. Mine has. I know many of you here have. Even if your father's alive, you don't need them. Healing can occur without confrontation or any participation at all from a father or father figure. So don't worry about it. All right, what are 5 common causes of father wounds? So, and this may be obvious, but we're still covering it because I don't think anything is obvious. It's very easy to have blind spots when it comes to these deep original injuries with a parent. So physical absence is one. So that could be divorce, death, abandonment, mental health issues, addiction issues, right? Physical absence. Someone could be in jail, that they could be physically absent from that. And then I'm giving you examples that actually came in from our community. So thank you for sharing. Emotional absence, right? So I'd say one of the most common causes of father wounds, a father who may be physically present, but fails to engage emotionally with their children. So common causes. Now, going into the dysfunctional behavior, it could be addiction, it could be narcissism, toxic personality, it could be, and when we say addiction, it could be any kind of addiction behavior. So it could be deading, it could be it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be women or men, right? It could be, and any mental health challenge. We talk about narcissism as one for sure, but any other mental health challenge that falls into that category of being toxic, which was a lot. Other results, causes are high expectations and criticism. So feeling that you could never meet your father's expectations or that they were constantly criticized, right? When the standards are so high, no matter what you did, it just never felt like enough. Other cause of father wound is any kind of abuse, verbal, emotional, mental, physical, or sexual. All right, let's talk about the symptoms and see where you fall in here. And you can just say yes if it's you as we're going. So feeling inadequate, constantly feeling that you're not good enough, stemming from early criticism or lack of affirmation from your father. Other symptoms, having boundary issues. Anybody struggling with boundaries that are either too rigid, right, leading to isolation, or too porous, resulting in being overly accommodating. Just anyone. Or you could be both of those things in different relationships. All right, trust issues is another symptom. So difficulty trusting others, intentions or commitment, often expecting disappointment, as you just said, a reflection of unreliable behaviors from your father. Anyone? Trust issues? Yeah. Abandonment issues, intense fear of being left, which can manifest to clinging too tightly in relationships or avoiding intimacy to prevent abandonment. And we already talked a little bit about perfectionism, an overwhelming need to be perfect in all aspects of life as a way to earn love or approval that was conditionally given or withheld by your father. Or you might have made up a story like I did. Kids do this, right? I was convinced that I was born the wrong gender. I was the fourth daughter to a father who really could have used some sons, according to me. And so I had something to prove with a chip on my shoulder. I was going to be more successful than any stupid son my father could have had. And I don't think until I was in my 30s, my mother was like, Tara, your father never said that. I don't think that's true. And she said, I don't think he would have been interested in sons either. I was like, wow, that is pretty depressing. But she really didn't, she just thought he wasn't emotionally capable, but we make up a story. Now, why would I make up that story? Oh, because it's way less painful to think there's a reason. Like, oh, I see. I was the wrong gender. That's what it was. And when I came in therapy to realize it really wasn't that, it was really more painful to be like, wow, he just wasn't interested in kids. He just wasn't interested in us, All right. Another symptom is what? Hyper-independence, right? A strong need to rely solely on ourselves. Often a defense mechanism, which is true, to cope with the emotional unavailability or inconsistency of your father or your father figure. So the hyper independence, like I used to always think there was something sort of, I don't know, I was proud of how independent I was, and I am independent, But when I really got to understand that hyper independence is not the same as healthy independence, right? So let's make a distinction between those two. Hyper independence is rejecting help even when you could use it, right? Healthy independence is being able to know your shit and get it done and be fine. All right. How does mother wound compare to father wound? They're different. That's all I can say is that they both can be very damaging and they both impact the way we relate to other people. But father-daughter wounds are very specific to the way we relate in our romantic relationships. That's one of the areas that it affects lots of different areas, but that's one of the areas that it really impacts us. Is learning to trust ourselves one of the keys to healing? And how do we go about it? I think you have to become aware of, where are you self-abandoning, right? Where are you not taking care of yourself? Because that's what breaks the self-trust, is when we kind of choose other people above ourselves. So I would say that's your start, is looking at, where are you self-abandoning? Where could you take better care of yourself? That's what will build self-trust, allowing yourself to say no when you're exhausted. Really thinking about whether you want to do something before you commit it, right? Before you commit yourself to doing it. Like that. Those are things that will go a long way in building self-trust. If someone has huge father and mother wounds, is there any hope for a long-term healthy relationship? I'm scared of relationships. I understand why you're scared, but there really is, because you're grown up now. And so now you have every opportunity to reparent yourself. And, people, it's interesting. People love to look at me or look at anyone else and think that, you have the answers and you know what you're talking about. And here's the thing. What I will say is, I'm nobody's guru, as you guys know, but I am positive that I am a damn good GPS to get you where you need to go inside of you for your answers. I am an expert at creating a safe and sacred container for your healing in every way. It is so safe. This was wonderful. I hope that it added value to your life, that you have a better understanding of what a father wound is. If you know someone who has a father wound who needs this, share it with them, right? Because the healthier we are, the healthier we all are, which is what we need. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And as always, what am I going to say? Take care of you.